Right, well, usually you have to move your feet to get to places, I whisper. Lewis's voice shakes, but his frustration shows through his words. I don't see you making a move, just give me a damn second. A rather long second passes and still, no one moves. Quinn and Blair just watches us, breathing heavily in the back of the line. I stare ahead and sigh. Fine, I'll go, while pushing past them. The soles of my shoes tap against the granite floors, echoing. I don't know if it's in my head, but the hum of the light is real and getting louder as I get closer. Lewis is right behind me, with the other two following behind him. Now they get the guts to walk. How convenient. Past the humming, I hear repetitive clicks and chattering that make my heart beat faster, but there's no stopping now. The air leaking from inside smells like something rotten. I reach out my hand and push open the door. It feels warm against my palm. It creaks open, revealing Sheriff Rumley, facing the opposite direction, distracted by something in front of him. He is unnaturally still, with his arms lying slack at his sides. His only movement is his head lolling back and forth. Sheriff? Lewis whispers from behind me. I swat at his arm and put a finger up to my lips. He looks at me like I'm crazy. I step cautiously to the side, trying to find the source of those nauseating sounds and radiating light. When I finally see the cause, a scream gets stuck in the back of my throat, and every hair follicle on my skin stands up straight. In front of Rumley, there's a person that looks anything but. It's like an alien attempting to disguise itself in a human body. Its bright fire eyes create the light that fills the room, and its mouth is a wide, drooping grin that is whispering things into Rumley's eyes as it grasps onto the side of his face. That's where the clicking noise is coming from. The sound of its teeth and slobbering tongue slathering together to create some language. Quinn and Lewis stay true to their free-swallowing distress response, while Blair covers her mouth and stumbles back, knocking over a paperweight from a desk. The creature looks away from Rumley in response to the thud, releasing its grasp on his face. He seems to awaken. Huh? What's going? When he sees the creature in front of him, he lets out a terrible, gut-wrenching scream. I've never heard a man scream in my life, but I knew that one day if I did, it would be something awful. I was right. As soon as Rumley draws the attention back to himself, the creature's face ripples with annoyance. Its mouth unhinges and clamps down on Rumley's entire head, its ragged teeth sinking into his neck. A disgusting and wet crunching rings through my ears, causing bile to rise in my throat. Someone is screaming. I can't tell if it's only me or all of us in some dreadful chorus. It rips Rumley's head off with a sickening, twisting movement that sprays blood across our row of bodies. Rumley's body hits the floor. The monster spits his head back out beside the corpse, doing it just for the kill. Various tubes, veins, and bones stick up from the uneven edges of his torn-off neck, pointed right at me. Blood spurts into a thick puddle on the floor. Now I know that I'm screaming. Yikes, am I right? So now some poems. So this first one is about the dread that you feel when you realize the moment of happiness that you're currently in won't last forever. It's called What Happens When It Ends. The gentle brush of delicate thoughts spin in and around my head, prancing through a field of saccharine flowers, every ounce of light revising the sweet taste, tallying how many ring-arounds it will take until I can no longer feel the rush, until flower petals drip off the stems and bury themselves deep beneath the damp soil, leaving me with wilted leaves and colorless chlorophyll. This next poem is about a dream that I once had. I'm still astonished and even a little annoyed that my mind had the audacity to come up with this while I wasn't even there. But it's called Start With a Dream. Would you kiss me in the cemetery? In between the aisles of headstones hidden beneath the fog, you tangle your fingers through mine, dazed. Underneath our feet, the dead would lie and consider our mistakes. Hands cross over their chests, bones rattling as they rock back and forth, teeth chattering as they whisper over our faithlessness. With trembling drags, I try to decline, remembering the hand on your shoulder and the smile beside your ears. Still, in spite, needles prick my heart like a little red pinhead, turning the words in my throat into proposals. I'd rather die and become one with the ground beneath us than say no to you. Thank you. And then this this next one, I was going to explain, but I think it's pretty straightforward. It's called Looking for the Beach on Valentine's Day. It should be empty, devoid of all summer sweet feelings that were left behind in the last year. Or maybe they're stocked away in the crevices of shells and pockets of sand, anticipating a new season. They'll defrost in time. We should be there, dashing around through the streets, trying new bakeries with new teas and scones, emptying pockets of coins onto the round table in front of us, trying to make every cent count. Our laughter should be echoing through the alleys of the abandoned, but only for the season, beach houses, through all hours of the night, while we drink root beer in glass bottles to make us feel like adults. We store the bottle caps in our pockets to make pens with later. We promise to go back there together one day, though your empty glare, devoid of all summer sweet emotion, tells me that we'll never touch that icy salt water again. And last but not least, is a new poem that I personally think is one of the best things I've ever written, but that's for you to judge, I guess. It's called Reincarnation. A maelstrom, sucked into an undying presence of beginning. Catch a glimpse of it in eyes on a movie screen, burdening the shoulders of an actress or a timeless waitress, winking from beneath an arrogant glass of absinthe, lost between science and charity, if you know. Roaming between graffiti on bathroom walls like phone numbers that will lead you to where your mother would never want you to be. Classy. Or maybe through the bars on reinforced windows of a gas station, pricked in the grooves of locks that no longer work. Call it Houdini, gone before you know it. Sometimes you'll find it wherever you feel your heart stop, continuing to swim through your thoughts and nestling where you feel the most alive. But only if you're lucky enough. That's all for me, folks. Our next reader is a person of many talents. Along with poetry, she writes music, she sings, and is the manager for the ARGS esports team. As she says in her own poetry, she can write about anything. And after reading her entire poetry portfolio that she had stapled together and ready for me the second I asked, she pulled it out of her book bag. It was very impressive. I'm confident to say that it's true. Now I'm happy to introduce Rebecca Ernest.
That last reader was wonderful. My poetry doesn't have a specific theme, though today I picked themes running along apocalypse, death, because my time here is ending, therefore, death, but it's not bad. The first poem I'm going to be reading today is 13 Minutes to Midnight. The end of the world will be beautiful. Counting down to such an occasion, who else would drink as the world splits in two? The burning of prophecies will glitter among the stars in the sky. Demise. How lovely it will be to see everything we hoped to be true die before us. Apocalypse spares no mercy. Color knows no bounds. The next poem is going to be Legends Stitched with Thread Unknown. There is no survival in lust. Hands, the executioner, and lips, the executed. Silence folds in the space between misogyny and hypocrisy, laying itself down into the quiet hills of cold, breathing its empty praises into decayed palms of the north. Daughters of men dance by the rivers of blood that flow through fields of no shame, ridden with sickly, guilty honey from countries they stole. Close its borders to vengeful ghosts of past, and hide away behind absent mountains in a shivering neverland. What do I smell like? You said that I smelled like sadness. Confused by this answer, I pressed for elaboration. You said that I smelled like an old fermented wine with fruity notes. He told me this as he sat on a cold, dank floor in the darkness, looking for something, or rather anything, to keep going, scrounging for the last drop of sadness in the bottle. I couldn't tell what kind of sadness I had, if it was tragic, hopeless, inspiring, or lost. I pray that the sadness he smells and feels is that of an old fermented wine with fruity notes, a wine you drink at an empty table for two as you remember the memories of an old lover, a friend, or an enemy. I hope his sadness begs him to take another sip and not to put down the bottle. Shores of Elysium, daughter. When all thought leaves, I see the tide roll itself back from the shore. Elysium is a lie. A sore, sorry fact I was taught in the time of losing the hand that fell from mine. You chose this sand over my skin, these rocks over my riddance, this tribe over truth. Who are you to have claimed to see Elysium? Have you soaked your toes in the golden warm sand of sunlight? Have you drank from the fountains of all good joy? Have you learned to love without the crutch of sin? Liar. The four constances of life and death. 1. If I could be anything, I think I would be like the seams of red silk dresses, stable, unbreaking, consistent. 2. The sky must be awfully lonely. Such people are pleased by its blue. The giving tree would be envious as the sky never had to lose its head and body for a man who dies anyway. That being said, all of nature and humanity will die as well. Who will be there for the sky when the end arrives? 3. A bear plays the acoustic guitar. I am the honey watching silently from across, awaiting attack, awaiting thee. There is steadiness in the patience of treading death on its tail. 4. There is love in leaning ceilings, and in pools of mold spores beneath abandoned couches. Love sings in the static of flickering light bulbs, hanging from wires. It sits in the 5/9 stains and beige turned brown carpet. There was once love here, now lies death. And the last poem I'll be reading for you is an Ars Poetica, which is a poem about writing poems. It is called Rumination. Mirrors are to reflect what is shown. In front of the mirror, my reality is warped. Bones malleable, skin melting, unwanted pour beneath, a heart drenched in ink, not blood. I file down its rough edges, spit on it, then throw this heart down onto the page, praying that somehow, some way, art in the form of ink blots will be read. Tell me what you see. I see images and flashes between memories. I cannot get the words out in time because it flickers away like a loose light bulb in a dark attic. To be able to write, I need to break that light bulb. I use these shards as my quill, then they cut my hands as I use my wavering strength to find beauty in the blood. I see a rose. The red mimics the ink in my hands. I remember the roses that have flashed into my life. A rose tied with a black ribbon, a gift from a nun. The few consistencies dripping, I remember there was me with a rose held to my chest, remembering when my heart was a rose that I wanted. Thank you. This next reader is one that I haven't worked with a lot, but I've silently stalked by reading her poetry as it's been put around and spread. And I can say, I don't know about you guys, but I know for myself that it is absolutely wonderful. She is remarkable, and her tone of voice is just really, it's diving for. Please welcome, last but not least, Naisha Norman.
Hello. I unfortunately lost my shoes on the way up here, but I'm here, and so I think that's all that matters. So my first two pieces are inspired by nature. So here we go. The first one is titled My Side. Birthplace, Appalachian Mountains. A bluish gray tone stretching for 348 miles, separating us from the city, pushing it to the side. The entire body of matter, green masses to be exact, now split into communities of different worlds, lying on the shoreline of my small hometown. life, Surrey County. Stillness around, waves crashing in the distance, birds holding a tune. Connections bound like time between my inner self and the atmosphere. Walking down the steep hill, my toes caressing through the sand. I'm greeted by a soft tide, carrying away sand particles. The wind blowing through my thin jacket and ribbed leggings. A cold breeze tickles my skin. The little hairs on my neck rise, then falls as the current passes, soon to stir up some tree leaves nearby. My body collapses, letting nature overtake my presence. Although I can still feel the water touching my toes periodically, beams of light covering the land below, heating up my body temperature. I close my eyes, taking an opportunity to rest. Seconds, minutes, hours pass. Orange and red begins filling the sky. Mesmerization nourishes my soul. Sparkles of night slowly creeping into the picture. I sit up and clean myself off, ready to take on a new journey. As I walk away, leaving the domain in my rear view, Death Place, Chesapeake Bay, and Hampton Roads. The next piece is titled The Shore Side. When the aim is to feel wholeness itself, or so as one may say. Steps along the journey of seeking truth, loneliness. Practicing being one with oneself, isolation relieves pressure, prevention of compressed essence, departure from humanity, absorbent rays of light, tingling sensations overcome. Warm seeps through my pores, red illuminates, release of acrimony. Life slowly returns, drafts of coldness grazes my skin. Suffocation by sea salt, loud crashing afar. Dust swirls, adventure awaits, deeply breathing in before opening that door. My next two pieces are about women. The first one is titled Transcendental Psychology, after Snow White the Scientist. An object accustomed to beauty, no brains. Another individual overlooked, mistreated. Expected to turn a cheek. Devotion to the patriarchal. Abiding by regulations, the failure of evolution. Vanishing our voices at the hands of civilization. Femininity has fallen through the cracks. Not only beauty does have a brain, but societal views a body. Amending the narrative burned into their skulls, exhibiting the men's errors, using force. Beauty does not define personality, giving a chance to transcend restrictions, soaring past oppression. She is the woman. The next one is titled Versus. Same person, different mindset, evolution. No fear, optimistic rays fill the paper. Relief of fresh air, a continuance of doors. Opportunity, breaking shackles and bondage. Tackling fear, not violently, minimal force. A pen, a paper. Voicing matters per attention, freeing a soul. Trapped alongside confidence, building, a surplus. Specks behind the wall, sunflower blooms, foundation formed. And lastly, this poem is written from the point of view of an African American who personally hasn't experienced police brutality, but have witnessed it and sit and think, that could have been me. It is titled, Their Ways of Despotism. Continued captivity, vanishing vocal cords. New words, but same actions. Fear overpowers confidence, brought upon by defenders. Protect and serve, or protected by preserved homicide. Mental chronometry spilling through, reactors prevail. Viewed as hostility and ignorance, lowest level class. Future doesn't exist, present time only. Living to see the next day becomes the goal. Keep to yourself. Change to prevent threats, bend to the will of society. You are who they make you out to be, dark figures walking alongside the light. broken systems. It never was in your favor. Evolution is a lie. Silver platter failed propaganda, the foundation of this country. Thank you.
My question's for Lainey. Where do you find inspiration for your writings?
So, where do I find inspiration for my writings? My own head. I don't know, I just sit there and I think. It's not for my friends though at all. Yeah, go ahead.
When did you realize that writing might be something that you wanted to further go into?
When I realized it was an option at ARGS, I was like, hey, I can kind of write, and then the teachers here encouraged me to keep going with it, so.
I have a question for Lainey as well. How did you just become so beautiful and talented? I don't know. I sat here and listened to your reading and I just couldn't get enough. How are you just so talented?
I love my fans, guys. It's from being around all my friends. I don't know, you guys support me. I wouldn't be here without you.
Aww.
We have a question over here.
I had a question for Finn. What did the idea/writing process for God's Hunger 2 look like?
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. So, in reality, it really wasn't that deep. I was really hungry. And I'm like, you know what? This would make a really good flash fiction piece because we were writing flash fiction and fiction 1 at the time. So, that's pretty much it.
If there's no more questions, I have a question. Oh, sorry.
This is for Catherine Baker. When is your book going to come out?
I don't know. It exists though.
Okay, are there any more questions? Oh, hi, Aaliyah. You guys are going to keep making me walk back there?
Okay, this is for Colin. How much of Elvis is actually, how much does he inspire your work?
That's a pretty easy question. It's pretty much all of it. Let's see. So I think ever since I started listening to Elvis, this probably happened early last year is when I really got into it. The Baz Luhrmann, obviously, he had a movie that came out last year, and the whole trailer really inspiring to me. And I think it's something about Elvis, the way he changed music and took things that other people started making and then sort of opened it up as a platform was really inspiring to me. And it sort of influences me as a writer to do the same sort of thing, is take things that are known and then sort of transform them into unknown elements.
Can you show us some of your moves?
Oh yeah, the dance? I know I promised it. So you hold to This is for all y'all. I know I promised that one. good. Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful audience.
Hi, this question is for Niaja, I think. I noticed in your bio you said you were probably going to pursue a career in law. Why the shift as opposed to a writer?
Because similar to Eleni, I didn't really plan to write like as a career. That was never my thing. I only did it to come to the governor's school. So that's why.
If nobody else has any questions, I also have a similar question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just got notification that the food is running late, so take your time. We still have to set it up once it gets here, so should be here in about 5 minutes.
Run, Josh, run.
So I will say that all of you have inspired me a lot, and I associate a lot of my visual art to your work actually, especially you, Renee, because you helped me a lot like during this. I also wanted to ask, so do you ever draw inspiration from art specifically? Like, do you ever just look at a picture and decide to write something about it?
Yeah, I would say so. I didn't read any like work specifically tonight that did, but I definitely have written some poems about different artwork that's been hung up. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, by the way.
This is more than just a comment. So I just wanted to say all your guys' writing was amazing. You guys are just so wonderful. You guys are really like amazing. It's just, I'm putting this out there. Also, I just want to give another shout out to Lady because that writing was so good, girl. We love you so much.
My question is for Scott. Scott, how much is your writing influenced by your 4th grade teacher? I heard she was great.
Well, you were like the first teacher at my elementary school to like not give me a hard time for enjoying art or reading, so I'd say a lot.
Sorry,
I wanted to echo that all of you guys did a wonderful job. My question is for Kendall. Do you intend to continue the tradition of passing on the guardian angel to your children?
That's actually something I've thought about, and yeah. Yeah, just like the middle visor clip, I think it's cute, so yeah. That's it. Thanks. Thanks.
All right, any more questions? Raise your hands high so I can see them. I'm short and I can't see above tall people. Okay, are we good? All right, now this totally not scripted question. Where are all of you going to college and what majors are you planning to pursue? You guys can start at the end of the line and pass it down.
I'll be attending North Carolina Central University, and I'll be majoring in criminal justice.
I will be attending the Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts, and I'm going to be majoring in English with a minor in like concentration in creative writing, while I will further study poetry. Yeah.
I'll be attending the University of Virginia for psychology. Go Cavaliers!
I'm going to be attending Hollins University, and I'm going to keep studying creative writing.
I'm going to George Mason University with my cat, and I will also be studying creative writing. I'm going to Emerson College, where I'll major in writing, literature, and publishing.
I'm going
going to the #1 HBCU in the country, Spelman College. And I'm going in as an English major, but I'm very indecisive, so I probably won't graduate with that degree.
I am going to the University of Denver and double majoring in international relations and English and creative writing.
As Colin so graciously told y'all when he introduced me, I'm going to Columbia University and I'll be majoring in psychology.
I'm going to Rachel Glenn, physical science.
So I'll be going to Randolph-Macon College, and I will be majoring in business with a concentration in marketing.
I'm going to North Carolina School of the Arts. I'm going to be focusing on filmmaking and bad timing, but I'll be focusing on screenwriting.
I actually do have a question for Colin, really, sort of in the same vein as the Elvis question. How much of your work is dedicated or inspired by Scott, right? And furthermore, is there any overlap between the Scott work and the Elvis work?
Man, that's a great idea. But no, so for In Senior Project, basically what we do over the course of this class is we build a portfolio trying to capture what we've did over the past 4 years. So I was building that. It's like 170 pages. But I found 6 Scott pieces, and I cut all but one of them. I had 3 poems called Dear Scott Langston, and every single one was different. But no, I don't picture Scott as Elvis. I feel like that'd be a little strange. They're not exactly the same, though I do see the sideburns, and I think about it sometimes.
Hi guys! ARGS Literary Magazine is for sale outside, and I am the head editor, and this was my last Asgard, and it means a lot to me, so it would mean a lot if you bought it. Oh yeah, and all of us are in it.
I actually have a few more things to say that I'm really curious about. So, Renee, the first poem you read, you said was directly inspired by Toni Morrison's Song of Solomon, right? What might be some other books that you read in thematic studies or otherwise that really inspire your work?
Oh boy. Someone asks you a specific question and then you're like, you can't remember anything that you've ever done in your entire life. Well, one book. I Am the Cheese is like the most amazing book because I'm terrible at figuring things out, so I loved it, and I tried to write so much stuff like it. Like I have at least 3 pieces that are supposed to be like it, and they're all terrible. But that one, oh wow, this is terrible. Aristotle and Dante. The first one, the second one is absolutely terrible. Don't read it. Don't waste your time. It's 500 pages of. I can't even tell you because I don't. It's nothing. But that probably because it just has pretty authentic representation, which is what I try to emulate and put into my work.
And one last question for Catherine and Kendall, like a double whammy question. Not so much a question, I just want to know generally more about Kendall Fuller's seminal poem, How to Write Gale.
So, I'm not a poet, guys. I cannot write poetry. I can't think like a poet. I was the person that didn't read a poem. So in creative writing, 3rd quarter, you have to write poetry. Luckily, I got out of it because we had to go virtual, but I had to write 1 poem. And I had this idea, and Ms. G approved it, and it just says Gale over and over and over in different ways, and that's my middle name.
Like it's like spelled out, it's bolded. I have a table in it that's like different things you can spell with Gale. It's not a poem. It's really not. It's highly experimental, yeah. It's nothing.
We actually did finish the poetry unit freshman year. Kendall just didn't do any of the other poem assignments.
Also, How to Write Gale is for sale with the ASGARDs for 50 cents. It has a picture of baby Megamind on the front and a very lovely afterword by Josh McPeak over here.
Thanks, Cap.
One more thing, Megamind is on there because he's a baby in the picture and I was a baby when I wrote the poem. That's the thing, it doesn't make sense. And the afterword by Josh is actually the best part of it. It's better than the poem, so you should definitely buy it and read it.
None of the money goes to me, so you can buy it in good faith.